Good evening, everyone. I'm Urmila, and on behalf of the organizing team, I welcome you for the third day of workshop on systematic review and meta-analysis. So far, we have covered topics pertaining to research question and search strategy for systematic review and meta-analysis. Today, we will be learning about an extremely important aspect of systematic review and meta-analysis. Just like any other clinical trial requires a prospective registration before its commencement. Any systematic review and meta analysis protocol ideally should be registered before it is undertaken, like in Prospero. So, to enlighten us on the Prospero registration, we have Dr. Natasha Sharma with us this evening. Dr. Natasha is working as faculty at the National Institute of Nursing Education, PGIMER, Chandigarh. She has more than 40 publications in national and international journals. She has contributed 12 book chapters and she is an associate editor for Indian Journal of Psychology and Education too. Dr. Natasha serves as a reviewer for multiple national journals. I am privileged to invite Dr. Natasha for this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Urmila. I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for that nice and brief introduction. And I'm really delighted to see almost more than 140 participants, that too on day three. People usually start losing interest by the time it's day three and day four, but this time the group is truly engaging and they are really interested. So, I am here to discuss a very important topic, that is the registration of a systematic review protocol. So, I would like to share my screen. Is the PPT visible now to all the participants, Urmila?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Now?
No, ma'am.
I think now it would be visible.
Yes, ma'am. You have started sharing the screen. Yes, it is visible, ma'am.
It is visible. Fine. Is there somebody from the technical team right now? Because I can see only the screen. I want to see the participants and the screen simultaneously. Can they help on that?
Technical team, you are requested to help ma'am with this issue.
If not, then anyways, I shall proceed.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. So, talking about the protocol development and registration, so far we have already learned lot many aspects of systematic review. So, this is a very very important step, and in fact, major step without which one should not proceed with conducting a systematic review. But one should know that at first place, why do we really need to have a registration of systematic review and meta analysis? So there are almost 5 6 aspects which makes it really a very important component of conducting a systematic review. The first thing is that when we have a protocol which is registered with some agency, it somehow adds to the transparency of the work that we are doing. Because when we put something on a platform which is for public review and anybody can access it, it tends to create that transparency that everybody know what are the methodology we are going to follow, and there is very little scope to actually deviate from what has been planned. But in true sense, when there is no registration, people tend to deviate from what has been planned. In fact, it was published in one of the studies which actually critically analyzed the systematic reviews in Cochrane, and they actually found that, in fact, almost 12.4% of the systematic reviews which are conducted are never published. And out of 47 reviews that they actually saw, 42 reviews had major deletion of some variable at the time when it was published, or others had certain additions. So this is something which actually introduces bias to the findings of the systematic review. But when we have something which is already registered, a protocol is already there, it serves as a landmark and we actually do not deviate, and that creates a transparency in our work. The second important issue is that I might be doing something in Chandigarh, but the similar work can be undertaken by somebody at some other part of the country. So there is a lot of duplication. But when I have a centralized registry, I actually get to know what other people are doing, what is the plan on a particular topic which has been undertaken by other researchers. So that would avoid a lot of duplication. In fact, again, in one of the index journal, I found a paper where they just mentioned that a single topic of seeing the effect of acetylcysteine in reducing the contrast associated nephropathy between the year 2003 to the year 2005, there were 10 systematic reviews on the same topic. And similarly, there were five more systematic reviews on the same topic subsequently also. So by doing duplication in systematic review, we are actually wasting a lot of human hours, we are wasting a lot of other resources, economic resources are also being wasted. So one should avoid such duplication, and that is possible when we have a centralized registry or at least two, three registries where one can, before starting a systematic review, basically search that whether the thing that he is planning to do is already done, or is it being done by somebody. And once you get to know that, you get a chance to collaborate also. You have a option of collaborating with the experts or also working in the similar fields in the similar areas. And
Uh,
then
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Ma'am,
yeah,
slides, only first slide is coming over there and slides are not moving.
okay, I'll the introductory, the first slide is there only. I've just moved one slide so far, the purpose of registration slide.
Okay, ma'am, but it was there, the only introduction
I'll
one.
share the screen again, then let me know. Just
Please,
wait.
ma'am.
Now,
Yes, ma'am, we are on the second slide now.
now I'll move the slide, then tell me that whether the slides, can you see the slides moving now? I'm moving from first slide to second slide. Is it fine now?
Ma'am, it is on second slide only. It is not moving
Yeah.
so far.
Purpose of registration is the slide right
Can you
now.
please make it on a slideshow?
It is on the slideshow. It is
Just
already on slideshow.
okay. Ma'am, can I ask technical team to help you with the same?
Please, yes, please. Urmila ma'am,
Yes, ma'am. You're audible now.
now I think the issue has been resolved. Just check. The slides are moving now?
Yes, ma'am. It is moving
Yeah.
now. You can continue,
Yeah,
ma'am.
fine.
Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I'm really sorry for that technical glitch. So we were basically on the purpose of doing such registration of a systematic review protocol. So we were about discussing about that when we tend to know about the people doing the similar kind of work, we are able to collaborate with them. And then, of course, when we have two experts from different parts of the world, of course the kind of work they do is much much better than a single person doing it. And lastly, we also need to have a registration because it increases our accountability. We become accountable for whatever we are going to publish, whatever we are going to conduct, and we tend to kind of adhere to the established guidelines. So therefore this registration of a systematic review before conducting promotes transparency, it avoids duplication, it promotes collaboration, it increases our accountability also. So the next question that should be coming to the minds of most of the participants here is that where do we register? Is it free of cost? Do we need to pay for that? So we are going to get answers to all these queries. So we have different registries where one can register for a systematic review. Of course, all these registries do vary in terms of what is their basic scope, what are the kind of studies that are to be included in which kind of registry. So I'll give you a brief about the most important ones, starting with the gold standard, that is the Cochrane collaboration. By now, we all have been listening to Cochrane. I mean, from day one, we have been listening to this is gold standard. So this stands gold standard even for the registration purpose also. So Cochrane collaboration is basically a network of researchers who tend to promote evidence-based practice, and they tend to develop evidence, and evidence synthesis centers are created. But in Cochrane, it's not that everybody can, register a systematic review protocol in Cochrane. If you want to do it in Cochrane, you have to have an affiliation with so-called the Cochrane Review Group. And once you are affiliated to a Cochrane Review Group, you actually submit your protocol, and then this Cochrane Review Group, which is a, basically these are the group of experts. They take a decision after reviewing your protocol. They do a intensive peer review, and then the decision is taken. And once that decision has been taken and your proposal has been accepted, then you can continue your systematic review, but you are under the editorial framework of Cochrane only. So you have to abide to the guidelines and the very meticulous methodology that Cochrane follows. So it's for the new people who are doing new systematic reviews, it's usually said that, go for Prospero or other registries, because Cochrane has a very very meticulous kind of working, and it actually takes longer time to complete Cochrane reviews. And first of all, you have to be the affiliated member of that group. So that is about Cochrane collaboration. The second one is the Campbell collaboration. So Campbell collaboration is another very very common kind of systematic review registry. But the difference lies is that this Campbell collaboration, basically the scope is different, because Campbell is more for the reviews related to the social sciences, reviews related to crime, reviews related to legal system, public health, environmental sciences, or more of so-called business sciences. So those are the kind of reviews which are more taken up in Campbell collaboration. And it is not as stringent as Cochrane, and anybody can register with Campbell. In fact, Campbell tends to create various training programs from time to time where they actually teach how to conduct a systematic review, and they have a lot of resources also, which can be utilized free of cost for everybody or anybody who is interested in doing a systematic review. Then we have something called InPlacy. InPlacy was launched in 2020. Again, InPlacy is the best part of InPlacy is basically InPlacy is basically an international platform for the registered systematic reviews and meta-analysis, and it has a very wide scope. It includes both health sciences, allied sciences, even social sciences, and it's again a free of cost registration is there. The best part is that once you register in InPlacy, you tend to get your protocol registration confirmed within 48 hours. So this is also very commonly utilized registry. Then OSF is Open Science Framework. Again, here also you have an instant registration, totally free of cost, but OSF is usually again used more by social sciences people who are doing systematic reviews more related to psychology and social sciences. Another one is JBI. JBI is basically Joanna's Briggs Institute. JBI is not a registry in itself, but it provides a lot of resources. It provides a lot of tools and guidelines based on which you can develop a protocol, and subsequently the work which is done in JBI, it tends to get registered in Prospero. And then coming to the one which we are going to discuss in much much detail today is the International Prospective Register of Systematic Reviews, which is better known as Prospero. So Prospero is a web-based register which offers public access. This is freely accessible to anybody, and it also has lot of protocols which are already there. They are accessible to all, electronically searchable, open to all registrants, and it actually requires submission of a minimal data set. It has its own validation mechanism to ensure that all your entries fall within the scope and they are actually complete. So once you register on Prospero, you get a unique identification number, something like a DOI, which is basically a number assigned to your protocol. And whatever further correspondence occurs, it is through that unique identification number only. And whatever records are there in Prospero, they are permanent records. Suppose you have developed a protocol, you have registered a protocol, and in the later stage, you and after a month you realize that you want to make certain changes. So there is an option in Prospero, you can edit it. And it also keeps an audit trail of all those additions and deletions with the date of doing that editing, along with the reason for doing that if you edit anything, the reason and the date is also mentioned, and that record is always maintained in Prospero. So it's one of the most user friendly interface among all the registries, and most of the people actually try to register their systematic review protocols on Prospero only. So if we look at all of them in just a glimpse of all these registries together, so as I said, the primary focus varies. In these, like RCTs is the primary focus, RCTs of the interventions in Cochrane, whereas in PLASI, OSF, they may take up any discipline, they have a very wider scope. And also there are some of these registration agencies which actually provide the software support also. For example, in case of Cochrane, we have a complete RevMen software support to complete the systematic review. Similarly, JBI also has a software which is called JBI Summary. This is a system of unified management assessment of the review interventions. So this is a software which is by JBI, which can be used free of cost. And as I said, OSF has instant, immediate registration. In plus, it takes 48 hours. JBI does not directly provide registration. Campbell might take 2 to 3 weeks. Prospero might take some weeks to some months. And Cochrane, it's a little lengthy procedure. So now in the subsequent slides, we are going to talk more in details about the Prospero registration. Uh, so far, any doubts or any clarifications? Shall I proceed, Urmila ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. We'll
Yeah.
take your queries at the end.
All right, all
You
right,
can
all right.
proceed, ma'am.
Fine, fine. So this is how the homepage of Prospero looks like. So whenever you have to register a systematic review, you have to first sign up, and you need to enter some basic details, your email ID, you have to create a password, and then you can log in. Before that, let's talk about the scope for inclusion. So Prospero registers systematic reviews with outcomes of direct relevance to health. So basically, any such study which is directly related to health, it comes under the scope for the inclusion under Prospero. There has been a recent change in Prospero in February 2025. Before February 2025, it used to take only those systematic reviews which were within humans, but now they have started accepting the systematic reviews which are done on animals but are directly or could be indirectly related to humans as well. For example, if there is a study on role of omega-3 fatty acids on the cognitive functions on rats, so that can be included under Prospero, because anyways it is going to be indirectly related to humans. But what it does not include is, so any systematic reviews where the work has been done beyond data extraction, they cannot be registered here. So you have to register any time before data extraction. Second thing is those systematic reviews which have indirect, very indirect outcomes, they are not included. Systematic reviews of some sporting performances, not included. It does not accept traditional literature reviews. Evidence maps, gap maps, they are not acceptable here. The systematic critical appraisals or the review of clinical practice guidelines are also not. Now, in the newer one, where it has started to accept the animal studies also, which is better known as Prospero for animals, it is showing that in future it might accept scoping reviews as well. Now, as I said, the timing of registration. So, in order to register in Prospero, we need to have a minimal data set to be completed. And it actually can take place once the major key issues about your systematic review have been considered by the team. So, that means your protocol should be ready before you actually register. And as I said, any time before formal screening, it's good to do that. And you cannot register once you have started the data extraction. So review team actually completes an online registration. As I said, you sign up, you log into your account. Once you log into your account, you can clearly see My Prospero. So when you click on My Prospero, you enter the key information about the protocol in terms of design, methodology. And there are a lot many things which tasks, and then you finally submit it. Now the Prospero record is not considered a full protocol. In fact, Prospero system uses the information which you provide to just check whether similar reviews have been previously registered or not based on the keywords, based on the title. It itself has an automated system to check whether such reviews have already been registered or not registered. So it does that automated checking and then you can proceed further. So whenever the data entry is complete, it asks for a named guarantor. That means the main major author or the person who would be acting as the corresponding person. So that is named as named guarantor here. And all the named review team members, they should confirm their participation and they have to actually give consent to their name. So they get an email from Prospero, so they have to confirm it, and then only the record is completely accepted. So once these confirmations are completed, a registration number is assigned and then the record is published immediately on the Prospero site. So now in new Prospero, there is no delay to publication. And as I said, you can always change it, you can always amend it. It keeps an audit trail of all the changes that you make. So a dated audit trail of amendments is stored, which becomes a part of the registration record itself. So it retains the prior versions also, which are also publicly available. So people actually can also see what changes you made and at what stage those changes were made. The review team is also asked to update the registration record when the review is completed. So once you have completed your systematic review and you have published your systematic review, you have to include the citation details on the Prospero site itself. So you get automated emails as reminders to do so. Prospero does not check the record content. It's only the automated checks which are done, but in new Prospero there is no peer review. Neither it endorses the content which is published on Prospero. So Prospero record itself is not a formal publication. Coming to the aspects of data integrity, so Prospero records reproduce the information which is actually supplied by you. So whatever content is there on Prospero, it is the resultant of whatever information is being given by the research team. So as such, Prospero accepts the record content all in good faith, and it actually relies on the researcher's integrity to ensure that whatever information is being provided is both honest as well as this is accurate. And since February 2025, it has also required a named guarantor verifies the information which is provided. So if there is any false information, this would be referred as research misconduct as per the Prospero terms and conditions. Now, this is how the home page would look like. When you click on register a new review, there are certain terms of use which comes up in this pop-up window, and you have to read all those terms and conditions, the privacy policy, and once you click on I have read and understood the terms, then only you can proceed further. So the first question it's going to ask is what type of review are you planning? So as I said that right now it's only accepting intervention reviews, but on the other sections on the home page in diagnostic test accuracy, prognostic review, review of incidents, methodology, it's mentioned coming soon. So if it's an intervention review, you click on that. Then it would ask you for the review title, and it's such a user friendly interface that it has clear cut instructions to be complied to while entering every piece of information. So in writing the review title, it clearly mentions that you may mention acronyms. The title must be in English. If the original title is in some different language, here you have to enter the English language title only, because there is another section for non-English versions where you can enter the original language title. So they have also given an example here that how you have to write the review title. For example, I have created a dummy systematic review protocol, which we are going to discuss in the subsequent slides. So like, for example, if we are going to do a systematic review on effectiveness of parent training on screen time behavior of children, so this is the title I have entered here. In the next slide, as I said, if your systematic review original language is something beyond English, you have to enter the original language title as well. So this is optional. Then it would ask you for the review objectives. So you have to clearly mention in a very precise manner what are the objectives of your systematic review. And the example they have given is, does analgesic treatment reduce the number or incidence of metastasis in animal cancer models? And in my dummy review, I've written, what is the effectiveness of parent training intervention in reducing screen time among children aged 3 to 12 years? So that way you enter your review question with clarity and specificity. And then again, this is duplication of what we have done in the day two session, that how do we write a question. So you have to clearly define your population, your intervention. Basically, you have to follow that PCOT format here also. So one can have a very bad research question also, like what are the effects of screen time. So avoid writing such questions because it's too broad. It's not specifying what kind of effects you're talking about. No population is specified here, neither the intervention or exposure is clear. So try to avoid these broad questions, be as specific as possible. Then it would ask you about the context and the rationale. So whenever you're doing a systematic review on any topic, anyways, you already have a lot of knowledge on that. You're in a position to give a context and rationale. For example, in this title that we have planned about doing a systematic review on effectiveness of parent training intervention, here we have to give a background context, that how excessive screen time is impacting the children, what are the hazards of excessive screen time, and then what are the different interventions which have already been tested, what are the best evidences, and then why actually we are doing something on parent training, what is the need for taking this up, whether there is no evidence on this or there are some inconsistencies. So that way you need to provide a context and a proper rationale to actually justify that whatever you're doing is really needed. After that, it would ask you to enter the keywords. So once you enter the keyword, it will take some time. It searches that keyword in its automated mapping system, and then once it's approved by the website, it just appears like this. So you can see the screen. So these three keywords were entered and all these three keywords have been accepted. After that, it would ask you for the search details here. So you're going to enter what all databases you are going to include. Like I have written, I'm going to search Medline, Embase, in Health, Info, Scopus, Cochrane, Web of Science. Besides that, if you're using some gray literature, conference proceedings, as well as Google Scholar, you are going to mention it here. You are also going to specify the search dates, any other restrictions in terms of language, in terms of publication type, in terms of population. So you try to give all those details in the this particular box. After writing about the searches, it actually asks you about what kind of study design you are going to include. That means what should be the type of studies which are to be included in your systematic reviews. So it has an automated option. You just have to click on whatever is applicable in context of your review question. For example, in our study, I think that I'm going to include both randomized and non-randomized. So I have just uh, selected both of them. So that depends on your research question. That is totally your take, what you want to include, what you do not want to include. But you should definitely have a solid reason for doing whatever you are including and whatever you are excluding, right? After writing the study design, you are asked to link to a search strategy. So sometimes we are registering our protocol in a very early stage and we do not really have a clear cut search strategy. We just have some keywords in our mind, we have some vague idea about what is the search strategy going to be. So there are three options. Either you click on that your search strategy is not available, or if you have a detailed search strategy, you can directly upload your search strategy in PDF format. Or the third option is a full search strategy is available in full protocol. So sometimes you have a full protocol which is attached as a PDF, which is published elsewhere. So you can mention that this full search strategy is available somewhere else. So you have to choose. So it's not mandatory that you have a search strategy in hand before you register for a systematic review, but it's always good to do some hand searching, have some idea about what are the associated mesh terms and the free text terminology that you are going to use. Then you move on to the next section, which asks you about the disease which is being modeled. So whatever is the basic concept you are studying, if it is some basic disease, you mention that. If it is cancer, you give some context about that. So here I have written screen time behavior in children. So accordingly you decide and you write it. And you can see on the bottom, you can see this, there are four options: save for later, mark as complete, go back, and preview. So there, if there is some aspect which you are not clear right now, you can always click on save for later, and you can always come back to that section and you can redo it at the end. And if you are very sure that this is the final thing you are going to add here, so you click on mark as complete and you move to the subsequent section. Then it asks you about the population. So you have to give the criteria for what population you're going to study. So, for example, in our case, I'm going to study children within a particular age group. So that becomes my population. Then it will ask you about the intervention. So that means what is the inclusion criteria for intervention, or what kind of interventional studies, where what is the specific intervention you want to include. For example, in my study, I've written this systematic review will examine the effectiveness of parent training programs in modifying the child's screen time behavior. So, all the training interventions which aim to educate, guide, and support the parents in managing their child's screen use through structured programs, through behavioral techniques, or through guidance on setting screen related boundaries are actually included in the intervention. So, this is a very clear definition, and you should actually be very clear about what your intervention means. What is the meaning of exposure for the studies which you are going to include in your systematic review. Then in the next section, it would ask you about the control or the comparator. So it's not always that you have a comparator. So it's going to ask you, does this review compare the intervention with another treatment or control? So if there is none, you click on that we do not have any comparator or control. If there is one, then you mention that this review actually compares the interventions with the control. And if the review is such that you tend to include both comparative as well as non-comparative studies, then you click on that option. Now, for an example, I've mentioned it here that in my study, or this dummy study, the experimental condition, that is the parent training intervention, would be compared against these controls. Number one, no intervention. That means the studies where they have children and parents who receive no specific training or no educational program related to screen management. I also tend to take those studies which have used passive controls. Passive controls means the studies where parents receive general health education, which is unrelated parenting guidance without any specific content on screen time, or the studies where there are alternative interventions. That means where the studies where parents and children participate in other behavioral education and literacy programs which are not explicitly designed to reduce the screen time. So this way, you mention what is the inclusion criteria for your comparator also. In the next section, it would ask about the outcomes. So what are your basically the outcomes, and you have to specify what is your primary outcome and what are your secondary outcomes. That is very important. So in this for an understanding, in this study I have written the primary outcome is reduction in screen time, and I have further specified that I'm going to measure that in minutes or hours per day per week, which would be reported through parent reported screen time logs, parent reported screen time questionnaire. So in case our primary outcome measure is stress, so you will specify reduction in mean scores on stress as measured by a standardized scale of stress. So whatever it is, you need to be very very specific. Or if it is child self reported screen time, So that could be one other way of measuring my primary outcome. It also asks you to to mention if there are any exclusion criteria for outcomes. That means those studies which have not directly measured the screen time, but rather they have focused on digital literacy. So they have just these are the studies where they have talked about the impact of digital literacy program without aiming to reduce the screen time. So I'm not going to include those studies. So that becomes an exclusion criteria for my outcome measure. Or if I have the studies where screen time is not a primary, so there might be certain studies where they have seen the effectiveness of certain interventions, some educational intervention, but the primary or secondary outcome variable was sleep or maybe BMI or maybe the physical activity, and somewhere at third and fourth level they have included the screen time. So I am very clear that if screen time is the third or fourth outcome variable in those studies, I might not include them, because I want only those studies where screen time is the primary and the secondary outcome variable. So that way I have to be very, very specific about the exclusion criteria also. Some studies might have scenario based interventions where the outcomes are solely based on the parental intentions rather than the actual behavioral change of the parent. So I'm going to exclude those studies also. Then, after mentioning about these outcome inclusion and outcome exclusion, the next step is where it asks you about the study selection and the data extraction. I know the class on a selection and extraction is tomorrow, but just a little bit introduction to that. So you have to actually give a detailed procedure how you are going to select the study. So as I have mentioned here, two independent reviewers will conduct the study selection process, which would be done in three stages. In first stage, we'll do the title and abstract screening. So where all the irrelevant studies based on whatever we have predefined inclusion and exclusion criteria would be, they would be out. Then in the second stage, we have full text reviews where only the potentially eligible studies are to be assessed in detail. And then we have the final inclusion where the studies which actually meet all the criteria are selected for the data extraction. And we also mentioned that if there are any discrepancies at any stage, we are going to resolve that through discussion. And if needed, we will have a third reviewer who would be consulted to remove those discrepancies. And also, if we have planned to use a specific software for the purpose of data extraction, we have to mention it here. For example, I've written that data extraction will be performed using a standardized form and it would be managed in Covidence. If you're using Covidence, Ryan, I think there are more classes on these softwares, so you will be more acquainted with these softwares and their usage in the subsequent classes. But you need to mention this basics procedure that you're going to follow for the selection of the studies. So once you are done with this, it would ask you to further prioritize the exclusion criteria. That means there are multiple exclusion criteria that might apply to an abstract. You might not include a study because there is an irrelevant population. That means if we go back to our example, if the age group does not match, we are going to exclude the study. Similarly, if the intervention is not relevant, that means there is no parent training program. I'm going to directly right away exclude the study. If the study focuses solely on child self regulation without parental involvement, I am going to exclude the study. So I'm getting much more clear vision about my exclusion criteria. So this is about prioritizing the exclusion criteria. So if the outcome is irrelevant, that means if the study does not measure screen time as primary outcome variable or secondary outcome variable, I'm going to screen out that study. If the design is not eligible, so if it's a cohort study, cross sectional study, it's a case report, it's a conference abstract, I'm going to exclude it. If the comparator is ineligible, I'm going to exclude it. If I've already mentioned in my protocol that I'm going to take only English language articles, so if study is not published in English, I'm going to exclude it. And lastly, if there is a study which is eligible but the full text is not accessible, and I've already mentioned that I'm going to make two attempts to the authors, and if after two attempts there is no reply, I am going to exclude that study. So this is how we actually prioritize our exclusion criteria. After that, it would ask you for the methods for data extraction. So you again have to, in a good enough detail mention how this data extraction would be done. So here I've written that data extraction will be conducted independently, and minded this is mandatory as per the Prisma guidelines. It has to be done independently by two reviewers using a standardized extraction form. This extraction will be cross checked for consistency and discrepancies. which actually will be resolved through discussion. And when you are using these advanced software like Covalence and Rayan, it has its automated systems where if there are any discrepancies, it creates a special color coding, and then it gives a prompt that consult the third person for consensus, and there is a box where the final consensus would come up. So these are some good things about these new softwares. Most of the things are actually inbuilt in that. So if there are disagreements, a third reviewer is to be consulted for arbitration. Similarly, you need to mention whether you're doing the text based extraction. That means, are you manually extracting the data from tables, text, and supplementary files? Sometimes you have certain graphs and you have to extrapolate the data from the graphs, and you need certain kind of apps like Plot Digitalizer or other similar tools. So, if you are going to do that, you need to mention it here that if there is any relevant data which is there in the graphical format without the numerical value, you are going to use Plot Digitalizer or other tools. If there is any missing data, for example, if data on effect size, data on follow-up duration, or some important participant demographic is missing, then the you have to mention it here that you are going to contact the authors by email, and you actually will have two follow-ups which would be made within 4 weeks before you actually consider the data as unavailable. So this is a priori decided method that you're going to follow while you perform the data extraction, and it has to be mentioned in your systematic review protocol. After that, under this data to be, it asks you about what all data is to be extracted. So there are questions about the study design. There might be questions about whether the allocation concealment was there or not, blinding, method of randomization, follow up, all these aspects. So you decide whatever is the relevant data in context of your research question. So you mention it here that this is the information that is to be extracted from each study. So study design, then data on intervention of interest. So you are going to extract the data about what was the intervention in our example. For example, if it's a parent training program, you have to mention whether it's a behavioral training, it's a psychoeducational training, is it a digital media literacy training, it's just a parental mediational training. Then what is the delivery format of that? Whether it's face to face, it's online, it's app based, it's group based, you need to mention that delivery format. The dose and duration, especially in the systematic reviews of some medications and the drug trials, the dose and duration becomes very, very important. So here in our study context, we need to mention number of sessions, the duration each session, and the length of the total that intervention program. The timing of interventions are also important. Then the parental involvement, whether it's an active participation, self-guided, structured. So these are the important data which is to be extracted based on the intervention of interest. And sometimes in such behavioral interventional studies, we also get the data on theoretical frameworks also, that what is the underlying theoretical framework for the intervention, whether it's based on behavioral therapy model, or it's based on cognitive behavioral strategy model, it's based on a social learning model. So whatever is the underlying framework, that is to be extracted from the major full text article. It also asks you about what is the data you're going to extract about the primary outcome. Now in our study, our primary outcome was total screen time. So our primary outcome variable is total screen time duration. So you define your primary outcome variable here. You mention the type of data. So that means here we have mentioned that the units of measurement is hours per day or hours per week. So it's a continuous kind of data. So then the other way we can assess was the compliance with the screen time recommendation. So whether the child complies to the recommended screen time limits or not. So that becomes a dichotomous data. You mentioned the data type here. Maybe you are also assessing the changes in parent reported monitoring and regulation. So again, this becomes a continuous data because we are taking standardized scores from the validated scales of parent mediation. Sometimes one might also be interested in seeing how much is the reduction in problematic screen time behavior. So you mention that, you define that, and then you tell the units of measurement, and you also mention that type of data. That means whether it is going to be a continuous data or it is going to be a dichotomous kind of data. So after mentioning the data which is to be extracted as a primary outcome, You also write about other important data, for example, the bibliographic details of the paper, the author, the year, the title, the journal, the language. All these are other important information about the study which you want to extract. Then the next important step, it's going to ask you about the risk of bias. So here it's going to ask you that how are you going to do the quality assessment. It has some inbuilt tools which is already there if you're using, so like Cameradis is usually used in animal studies. But anyways, if the tool which you're going to use for quality assessment, there is going to be a class. I know we are not really aware of certain tools. Some of you who have already worked on systematic reviews might be knowing that ROB2 is the most commonly used tool for all the RCTs. So you mentioned the name of the tool that you are going to use. Just write the name of the tool which is to be utilized for the purpose of quality assessment here. And then it also asks you for the method of risk of bias or quality assessment. So what method you are going to use. So you have to mention in details that the risk of bias and quality of the included studies is to be assessed using appropriate tools based on your study design. For example, you might have different tools for randomized control trials, you have different tools for non-randomized controls trials, and also this is to be done independently by the two reviewers. And whenever there is any disagreement between the two reviewers, it has to be resolved by discussion with the third uh, party or the third person in the team, and then the consensus has to be achieved. And this has to be mentioned a priori in your protocol. Then it asks you about the strategy for the data synthesis. So it's basically asking you that whether you are planning to do a quantitative analysis, or you're doing only a narrative synthesis. So if you think you need a minimum number of studies to perform a meta-analysis, you mention it there that meta-analysis would be done if minimum this number of studies are available. If you only plan to go for narrative synthesis, you mention it here that this is our planned approach for the data synthesis. Then it will ask you about the effect measures. So what effect measures are you going to take? For example, in our study, our primary outcome variable was reduction in total daily screen time. If this is our primary outcome variable, my effect measure would be either mean difference in the number of hours or the standardized mean differences. So you have to justify, or you have to mention what are your effects. If you are doing a study which is about prevalence, so you mention about odds ratios, risk ratios, hazard ratios. So whatever is the effect measure that you are going to use, that has to be mentioned here. Sorry. Then it will again ask you about the effect models. So this also would be taken up when you talk about the heterogeneity. I think tomorrow we have a session on this. So you usually have two models. We have fixed effect models and we have random effect model. So you actually mention it here that which model you are going to use. And so usually we write that if the heterogeneity is high, we are going to go for random effect model. If the heterogeneity is low, we are going to go for the fixed effect model. But you have to mention it. It's not that you don't mention anything here, then you do your study, you first perform fixed effect, then you perform random effect, and then you tend to publish the one which you find is is likely to be more impactful. That's a wrong practice. You have to decide it prior which effect model you are going to use. Then it asks you about how you're going to assess the heterogeneity. So you mentioned the tests. So for example, Cochrane Q and I-square are the two important aspects here. So you mentioned that you're going to use Cochrane Q with I-square statistics to determine the heterogeneity in the systematic review studies. It also asks you about whether you're planning any subgroup analysis. So if you have large number of studies, and then you can further divide those studies based on some key characteristics and redo the analysis and see if the effect changes. For example, in our case, if I have 5-10 studies, I can further see that if the studies are classified on the basis of settings, maybe some studies are hospital based, other studies are community based. So I can do the separate analysis for hospital based studies and another analysis for school based studies, and then that would be labeled as subgroup analysis. I can also do subgroup analysis based on the study designs on the basis of key characteristics of the participant. Maybe I do the subgroup analysis based on the gender. Maybe these interventions work, if I have a query that whether these interventions work more for girls, females, then I can do that subgroup analysis based on gender also. So that depends on your research question, but you have to mention it a priori that you will do the subgroup analysis based on what criteria. Then it also asks you that whether you plan to do any sensitivity analysis. So for example, I have mentioned that in my study I'm going to do the sensitivity analysis. I'm going to exclude all those studies which have high risk of bias and see whether the results changes. Maybe I also do the sensitivity analysis on the basis of the model which I choose. So I compare fixed effect versus random effect. I also tend to do the sensitivity analysis based on the missing data. So if I, because there is a lot of missing data, I have imputed the data using some statistical techniques. But I want to see whether the results change if I take away those studies which have imputed data. So I can do that kind of sensitivity analysis. I can also do sensitivity analysis on the basis of sample size. So if I exclude all those studies which have very small sample sizes, then I see how does the result changes when I have taken the studies with both small and large sample sizes. So this kind of sensitivity analysis is also pre-decided before you actually start doing the systematic review. Then the next question would come up about the publication bias. So here it is going to ask you how you are going to assess the publication bias. So this would also be taken in the subsequent section. So assessment of publication bias is planned. So here I have mentioned that I'm going to do the publication bias if I have sufficient number of studies more than 10. And the method I'm going to use for the publication bias assessment is I'm going to visually inspect the funnel plots. Then maybe I do the Eggers regression test for continuous outcomes. So these are some techniques by which we can assess the publication bias. So we mention it here in the protocol how this publication bias is to be assessed. Then at the end, it would ask you about the review team members. So you first of all you enter your name, and then you actually you have an option of adding a team member, so you can add as many team members as you may. And then out of all, one person would act as a review guarantor. This person is responsible for all the communication, correspondence, and everything that goes on with the Prospero. It also asks you about the review team members, review affiliations, and the funding sources, right? So if there are any funding sources, it's very important that you declare it here, especially when you're doing some kind of systematic reviews on the uh, some drug trials, because sometimes these systematic reviews are actually funded by the pharma company and there are potential conflicts of interest. So it's always very, very important to actually declare those funding sources over here. Then it is going to ask you the question that what is the date when you're going to start your review and what is the end date. And it says that there should be minimum 28 days gap between the beginning and the end of the systematic review completion. Once you're done with this, it again tells you that whether a full protocol is available. If yes, you can upload it. It's up to you. Some people make it publicly available, some people do not. It's not mandatory that if you have a full protocol published elsewhere, you need to uh, submit it here. Then it is going to ask you what is the current stage of your review, because as I said, you can register your systematic review anytime before data extraction. So you might be at pilot work stage, you might be at formal searching stage, or you might be at screening stage. So whichever stage you are at, you just click on that. So once you're done with this, then it so you can see something like this. So while you are doing this process of registration, it clearly mentioned how much percent it is done, what is the registration status. And then as I said, you need not to do everything in one go. You always have an option of going back. You have left one section, you can always go back to that section. So you simply click on edit this version, and then once you click on that, you get something like this. So it clearly shows that these are the different domains. So some of the domains, once it is completely green, it means this particular part is complete. So something is missing in eligibility, something is missing in search. So this is an automated mapping system. It gives you an idea what is left out. You need to complete that before you proceed further. And this way, once all these bars are green, then it gives you an option to preview your systematic review. Once you click on preview, it gives a complete PDF. You review it, you approve it by the whole team, and then you can submit it. So that was all about how do we register a systematic review on Prospero, and a little more about other systematic review registries. I hope I could make it simple and clear to all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Natasha, for the wonderful session. I'm sure it was fruitful for our participants, and I believe most of the queries has been addressed by our experts in the chat box only. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an informative and wonderful session and sharing your expert opinions with us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Urmila. Thank you.
So we have our next speaker, Dr. Jagriti, with us in the house. Dr. Jagriti will continue with yesterday's topic, that is search strategy. Yesterday we have learned about the theoretical aspects of the search strategy. So today, Madam will be demonstrating search query formation on Embase, Scopus, and Web of Science. Over to you, Dr. Jagriti.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Ma'am, kindly confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. So good evening, everyone. We are here on the search query, and yesterday we have discussed about PubMed platform, and this was the set of queries that I have run already. And right from there, we are trying to move forward. Dr. Harpreet has given you plenty of details about how we lead queries on Embase, then Scopus and Web of Science, etc. So today I'll be demonstrating that with reference to the search question, the research idea that we focused on in yesterday's query. So the idea for this demonstration now is to extract the relevant set of databases or a number of articles from all these different databases so that you can continue to the next stage for inclusion, exclusion, and for screening, etc. So continuing from what we have obtained from yesterday's results, I hope you remember that I have utilized this particular search strategy, and I told you that we should prepare a document for whatever we are running as keyword analysis or mesh analysis. So this you might be remembering about yesterday's session. We prepared our concepts based on our research question that was about how are mobile apps currently being used to help individuals with high blood pressure eat a healthier diet. So we were focusing on this particular research question. And I'll focus only on the same topic to conduct search query on other databases as well. So as far as we have discussed about yesterday's topic, we worked on individual concepts with these three sections with or and combinations. We learned about mesh terminology. We learned about Boolean combinations of keywords as well as the keywords also, how we can merge them into our search query. So that was based on your PubMed database. And lastly, we just combined query from all these three databases, and we were able to extract a relevant set of articles from PubMed database. So the same I'll now follow further with the Embase platform. But before that, let us learn how we can extract now studies from this yesterday's query. That part was left from yesterday's session. So I'll take to these set of results directly. And we have it right here. If you remember yesterday, a number something like this we have obtained. I ran that query again just few minutes ago, and I could retrieve the set of articles from here. So before I start extracting articles from here, now we need to deploy some filters on our search queries. And for that, what we need to handle is, the idea here is variety of filters you can add. For example, one most commonly used filter is date filter. That is widely preferred because instead of getting studies from maybe past decades or maybe 15 years or 10 years, it is better to have a limited range of studies for your SLR. And that we generally refer with respect to your recent articles. And for that, on all major databases, you can easily put this year filter initially. You can observe this right here. Currently, by default, it is capturing data from 2012 to 2025. But that is not necessary for your SLR. We generally recommend like maybe it could be like maybe past 3 years or maybe past 5 years, depending upon how you are proposing your query. So let me consider it maybe for past 3 years. So for that, I'll just slide it back to 2023. And I'm including now only 3 years, 2023, 2024, and 2025. It could be based on your idea of conducting search, that how many years you want to include. The most recommended ones in most of the cases you try with 3 years and 5 years. That otherwise you can check already published SLRs in your domains, and you can get some references from there as well. So after running this, the next part I'll insert here is you can observe that we have many other filters as well. Although not all of them I'll be putting here, but yes, there are few things that we can think about, like maybe if you want to restrict what type of articles you want to include in your study. So from here, you can choose that filter. That is your choice if you want to add a specific type of articles only. For example, relevant to clinical trials only. If you want to consider these, then you can select these items from here. For instance, I can choose these set of items. And maybe if you have any other kind of primary studies, like maybe these randomized control trials, and depending upon whether it should be maybe from human trials only or any other, accordingly, you can put these filters. So currently, I'm not putting these filters directly because I'm just running your initial search only from here. But yes, later on, you can try these filters based on your specific domain. So currently, I'm just using cancel over here. And this is the only filter I'll be applying on my PubMed database. So as soon as I run this part, I'll search again with this newly applied filter. And you can observe I could get here 42 results, because earlier it was up to 2012. So definitely we were getting more number of studies based on that. But now I could reduce to 42 most relevant outcomes. And if I just try to scroll down, I can just observe that my keywords of interest are highlighted here. I can refer to all those keywords here. So I can be on the right track based on this. So this is the first analysis we have conducted. Now, in order to take your these results to next stage, that will be your screening stage further, you first need to extract these outcomes on the platform. And that could be maybe in the form of any CSV file, Excel files, or sometime RIS files you have. And BibTeX files also are provided by some databases. So depends what kind of database you are using. Accordingly, you can retrieve files. Multiple options you will find for that. Either you can send email directly, or you can directly save it from here. You can observe this. If I click on the save option, you can see here we have selection and format options. Like if I just scroll it down, I can click on all results in one go. And then format also we can select. You can observe either a CSV file or maybe a PubMed file, whatever is suitable for your software that you will be utilizing for the extraction stage. So for instance, I'll be using maybe CSV file for now. So I can just select this and I can click on create file, and it will just take few seconds to get these results ready on my system. So maybe I'm just saving this on the desktop platform, and I'll write here records from PubMed to store this as comma separated file. And I'll just save it. And this file later on, we can access on any of your softwares further for your data extractions. Similarly, if you need maybe PubMed file, maybe if in your software PubMed file is compatible, so in that case, you can simply change the file type from here and you can click on create file and it will be downloaded instantly. So it comes in the form of a text file automatically. And you can alter its name or whatever name you want to put. Accordingly, you can update it and we can save this file. So now we have stored records from first database on our research question that we have highlighted in yesterday's discussion. So if we are good up to this, then definitely we can switch to the next database. And for that, we'll be talking about Embase now. Another popularly used database for medical studies. And here again, I'm putting the same research question in my mind because you are conducting your analysis on a focused area. So from all the databases, we are trying to extract studies relevant to this research question only. And from here, we have already extracted the main terms. This we have discussed yesterday also. And we need relevant set of keywords now. Although we have identified those keywords in yesterday's session as well. But yesterday I have not demonstrated this thing in detail, that how do you get these keywords because of the time limitation that we had. So as a layman, how you can start? Maybe you are doing it for the very first time and you have no idea about how to identify your keywords. So for that, a very simple approach that you can follow is, one option is that majority of time when you start your research work, maybe as a part of your PhD or certain project work that you are doing, you generally have some supervisors with you. So sometimes your supervisors may suggest you some base papers to study to start your work in a specific domain. So from those base papers itself, you can identify some keywords that are given by your supervisors to you. And other way out you can try is with your search question, whatever you are trying to access, just run a basic query on your Google, maybe on your Google platform, like I have done it from here. So running a very basic query on Google. I'm just showing a layman technique here, that if you are very new to the platform and you don't have any idea how to retrieve a new set of articles relevant to a specific field. Although there are plenty of AI-based tools also for this purpose to get your base papers, but I'll not be including them right now here because we are more focusing on standard databases right now. So here, if after running this query, you will find that I can extract plenty of popular articles from some databases over here. You can see from NIH I have, from Science Direct we have. And if I keep on scrolling down, you will find at least some articles from this particular idea that we are trying to follow for our SLR. What you can do is just try to open few of these articles. Maybe just click on any of these and open them. Just by running this search, you can observe I have opened up few articles over here, just from here itself, the query that we are running right now. These 3 articles I have opened up. They are available in this list itself. Like one you can have is this first one I have opened here. And then accordingly, I have scrolled below and I have picked up these 3 articles. So just by looking at these articles, there is a very interesting thing you will find immediately. Just scroll down and you will have a list of keywords associated to your article. These keywords play most important role when you try to find or even publish an article. There are multiple benefits of having keywords in an article. Just for your quick idea, what we do here is, for instance, when you are at a publishing stage, at that time, these keywords help you to align with the aims and scopes of your target journal at the time of your paper submission. So the editors on the other side are going to review these keywords and they're trying to check if they are best fit for the aims and scopes of their journal or not. Then when your article gets published, after that, maybe someone else or some future researchers are trying to access articles in this particular domain. They are also going to run search utilizing some kind of keywords. And if the same keywords are highlighted in your paper, if they match with the keywords of their search query, future researchers, they will be directly linked to this particular source. And that is main reason why I could also see these kind of returns on my Chrome browser. This is how search engines work. So they will be connecting you to the keywords. And this is the main purpose why we focus on very precise keywords in your research articles. Then third benefit of having these keywords, when your article is published, these keywords help you get citations. As an author, you get citations with the help of these keywords, because in future when people are searching for articles in this domain, your article will be listed in their research, in their search query, and automatically they are going to read your work. Maybe they are going to follow your work if it suits to their study, and ultimately they are going to cite your work somewhere in their future studies. So that will bring you citations. This is how these keywords are going to play multiple roles in your uh, research journey. But currently we are talking about the SLR based analysis, and there also these keywords are going to help you further to run your queries on multiple databases. And for this, currently what we can observe is, let us just identify few essential keywords that we can utilize for our research queries. Whatever analysis we want to do on multiple databases, we can gather it from here. Same goes for other articles also. You can just scroll down and you can find here also some of the popular keywords are listed. Then we go to one more article, and here also you will find number of keywords that are more closely associated to your uh, research question. So from here itself, now we can fill in the gap that we have right on our document. We'll go back to the Word file, and just few of these keywords I'll try to copy into my sections over here. You can pick up any of the most popular keywords, like depending upon what databases we are running queries with, there may be a limited set of keywords that are permitted. So accordingly, 4 or 5 keywords maybe you can pick up, and later on definitely you are going to modify them based on your search queries. So maybe from the first of this article, I'll pick up maybe this mobile app into my first concept. I'll place it here. And similarly, I can maybe pick this blood pressure, although this is also in my main concept list. So I can just verify that, yes, this is a relevant concept for my analysis. Similarly, I can observe here dash diet. This is also looking like a popular keyword. And indeed, you have to compare it with other studies also. Just try to find the popular one among maybe 10-20 different articles. Currently, I'm showing only 3 articles here to you. So from this article, I could find these keywords into every section. Moving to the next one, and here also, you can observe dash diet is also included. And then I have hypertension also. So maybe hypertension I can put up here. This is one more keyword I have inserted. Then I can observe here one more interesting keyword, that is M health. And that is associated to these number of documents you can see. So this looks like a major keyword when we are talking about mobile healthcare. So considering what we have in this particular article, if it belongs to my mobile application or that digital intervention that we are trying to make for health improvement, then definitely this could be another interesting concept for me, and I can include it here. So M health, another keyword I can write here. Moving to the next article, and from here also I can have the common keyword dash diet. Maybe you can pick up mobile app, we have already included. Smartphone app, if you want to have it as your or keyword, means synonym, then definitely you can put up this one. Like maybe if I want to capture this, and we can insert it here. Completely depends on which one look more suitable to your search. Accordingly, you can put up few of these queries here. So these 3 I have added. Other than this, maybe you search like 10-20 different articles, and from there you may gather more articles also. Like maybe one common term you can have is high blood pressure also, because we are talking about high blood pressure here as a precise option. So maybe that can also come into your article list. And similarly, yesterday also we have talked about diet therapy. That could be also your addition. So that will be based on your base articles. Whatever you are getting from them, accordingly, you can put up some keywords here. So this is my initial list of keywords that I have created. Same you can follow for other databases also. Like, or maybe simply we can say, as soon as you have created research question, after that itself, you are going to find these keywords that you can utilize on all different databases. So similar kind of keywords I have used in the previous section also. So here also, like few additional keywords also you will find that was based on how many articles I have associated to this with, and nutrition, etc. I have also added, and these were also added. So based on this, you are going to do your initial analysis. Now, talking in terms of your databases, because we'll be running our query on Embase this time. And this is your platform. The theoretical understanding of this you have done yesterday with Dr. Harpreet. She has explained very well about how this works. So let us now run a query on this. I'll not be talking about the theoretical terms again. So let us do directly the query search here. And for this, there is again an interesting part, same as your PubMed platform. On this Embase, same as your mesh terminology that we have utilized in case of PubMed, on Embase, we have an alternative to that that we call M-tree. You can find it right here. M-tree. This M-tree database is almost similar to your mesh in PubMed. The remaining databases that we have, Scopus and Web of Science, to be discussed further, they do not have any such databases. In those databases, you will be running your queries directly with the combination of keywords, whether with Boolean operators, with maybe some kind of quotation marks, etc. So they will conduct only basic search queries, and from there itself, they are getting you relevant set of outcomes. But yes, with PubMed and Embase, we have additional privilege of adding mesh terminology or M-tree on respective platforms. And for this M-tree also now, there are some keywords, same as your mesh analysis that we have done. And based on the hierarchy of your keywords, you are going to include them into your search queries. And on this Embase platform, there is one more interesting part. We can run queries in two different forms. Although both are suitable, any of them you can try, but M-tree based query is widely supported in literature. So generally what we call this is, for instance, I'll enter into Embase database. First technique is quick search, and second technique is M-tree and keyword combinations. These two techniques we prefer. Since this Embase is dedicated to majority of medical line articles, so based on that, they have created a database within M-tree for leading medical terminologies, same as we have seen in the mesh terminology. For instance, if I try to search here, like maybe I'll write here blood pressure. As soon as I'm writing this, you can observe it is highlighting the widely used terminology for this in the domain. You can observe how many number of articles are associated to with this keyword, number of articles associated to this keyword. So this basically represents the popularity of certain keyword or a certain phrase that you are utilizing in your search term. And it comes automatically as soon as you start typing. On the main page of Embase, by utilizing this technique, we can run a query quickly. Any query we can run quickly. For instance, considering all my three terminologies from here, that is mobile app, diet, and blood pressure, what I'll do is I'll first go to this all fields option. You can observe I'm using directly all fields option, and I'll write here mobile app. You can observe this, and what it suggests me, it says that instead of using mobile app, the better use is mobile application. So it is recommending based on the database popularity. So I can choose this directly, and this is associated to majority of papers that are published in this particular with this particular keyword. Similarly, I have my second and third concepts. So instead of running any separate queries with your quick search, what you can do is you can combine your fields directly here. Observe this carefully. First field I have inserted here. Then I'll click on add field from here. And again, you can choose all fields or broad search. Both are your option. We can do search on specific portions of your article also. Currently, I'll use all field also as your free search, free text search on entire document we can do. And from here, I'll insert my second concept, that is diet. And you can observe these are common recommendations we are finding. And since in my case, I'm talking about eating healthier food for managing high blood pressure. So for that, this second one looks more relevant to my idea of study. So what I can do is I'll just click on this and I'll include this into my second field and make sure that the operator is by default active and, because currently we are combining three different concepts instead of synonyms. So and is the perfect choice for here. Now I can pick up my third keyword also, that will be with add field. And here I'll search for the third one, that was blood pressure. So I'll just put this right here and let us look for relevant set of outcomes. Okay, I'll just first add this field by using all fields, and here I'll write blood pressure. And as soon as I type, I can find relevant set of outcomes. So in my case, for instance, I consider this one. That completely depends on your how you are conducting your analysis and how your search group is recommending. Like you might be sitting with your supervisors, your peer groups, and then you decide which one suits more relevant to your idea. So for instance, I consider this hypertension as more relevant. So I'll click on this. And this third term also I have added with and terminology over here. So this should be fine. I have just added all my three terms and I'll just click on show results from here. And this will bring out you some relevant set of studies. You can observe, I can see this query right here on the top of your Embase outcome. And it states that we are getting 86 different search outcomes with this first query that I'm running. I can explore these all set of results right here. And then we have option to edit this basic query as well. For instance, if I want to edit this, what I can do is I can go to this edit bar, and from here I can edit anything. Like maybe I want to add or diet, just a random example I'm inserting. Then I can edit it anytime. This we have tried yesterday also, so I'm not explaining this again in detail. These just combinations I'm doing, and I'm running here test. And you can observe, it will quickly tell me that how many outcomes I may get with this updated query. So it says 176. Earlier I was getting 86. So if I want to update my query like this, then I can click on accept and update. As soon as I click on this, I can observe the updated set of results. So this is with your quick search we are conducting right now. But the better option that is generally recommended in literature, in that case, we consider following it with a combination of M-tree terminologies. That will be something like your mesh terminology as in your PubMed database. So what I'll try to do for that is a very simple approach. I'll go to M-tree platform. I can just click on M-tree from the top of the search window. And then we have here browse M-tree option. And from here now, I can quickly identify my exact keywords that are saved in M-tree database that are relevant to my medical community. So for this, the very first concept I was having is mobile app. I'll choose this mobile app, same as your main search window, it will appear. But there will be an interesting thing as soon as you click on this. You can observe here, we are getting this hierarchy of M-tree. So this is currently my database and it is showing wherever it is finding the link. with reference to the main procedures, or maybe with reference to any society and environment. And further, if anything is covered inside this particular keyword. So that we have identified from here. And a more interesting part to this, you will observe on this right side. See this very carefully. This by default gives you EXP. You can observe extending search results using EXP. So this is exploded research outcomes we are getting. And like we can go to this, downward arrow, and here we have other options available. By default, it is coming with this explosion. It means anything that comes below this hierarchy in your M-tree database, that will be automatically included. And majority of time, that is the most suitable thing you can try, because this is most reputed term you are picking from the hierarchy. And anything below this, like this or anything related to this, will be automatically covered. However, you can try other techniques also, like maybe you consider major focus. In that case, it just focuses on those records that have this mobile app as its main focus or major index term, not any of its for the synonyms. Similarly, index term also you can consider. In this case, it will consider all the synonyms also associated to your main term. And similarly, you can use combination of both these, and then we have other options also. So currently in my case, I'll consider this explosion only. So this selected by default here. And then you can observe here, it will automatically highlight all relevant synonyms to this particular word. You can see these are popular synonyms available. And now, in order to frame your search query for this first concept, what I can do is I can simply copy all these synonyms. So they will be automatically incorporated along with exploded terms. So that will become a bigger search query automatically. That will include all the relevant articles easily. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this and I'll put this on my this section here. I'll call it M3. And in this section, I'll just insert the query. And you can observe it automatically assigns the quotation marks as well as the or combinations, because they are all synonyms. So this I could find directly, and I have just saved it right here. The next thing I can do is whatever I have copied from here, I'll go to main search. Observe this carefully. I have just copied these synonyms from here, that is automatically with or combination. And then I'll go to Embase main search window and I'll paste it directly here as it is. I'll paste it here. And then I'll click on show all results associated to it. So I'll just run this part. And soon after that, it will process results with all these outcomes. And you can see the search query is also available right here. So these are now your relevant set of articles that we are getting. This is my outcome I'm getting with M3. Then what is suggested further, that you also create a combination of main set of keywords for this query, the keywords that you are obtaining from the field environment. Try to include both of them, same as what we have done in yesterday PubMed session. What we were doing in that, if you want to just remember, we were creating a combination of mesh terminology like this with your basic keywords, and then we combined them with the or combination, and then we added this also. So currently what I'm doing is these keyword combinations also I'll search independently on Embase. That is one of the preferred technique we have. So what I'll do is I have all these options. I'll copy this and I'll go to my main search database. This search will be automatically saved. You need not to worry. You can go back to the search query here, replace the existing thing, and just update your query with relevant set of or and whatever you are looking forward here, because currently I'm using synonyms only, so I need or keyword, and I'm placing quotation marks wherever required. That is with 2-word phrases we need this, so I'm inserting this also, and then I'll click on search. So as soon as I run this search, you can observe I'm getting 20,000 something results. So this is with basic search and this is with your M-tree. Both we have right here. Now I can combine both of them. And the combining technique is very simple. I'll just click on second and third query. I'll just combine them. I'll choose my operator because they are going to be synonyms only. So I'll choose or operator and then click on combine. And it will refresh your results. And this is your combined approach now. And we have 44,000 something results with the first concept. Now, let us move to the second concept that we had in our list. So that was your diet. One is including your search directly with the keywords. So that also we can do. So maybe I'm just running it here. First search with direct keywords I'm doing, for instance. Any of these you can do first and thereafter. That is your choice. I'm just creating the combinations only. So just combined both of these, initiated my search. This is with basic search. And then I'll go to M-tree. And here also, I'll search for diet because that was my main concept. And from here, I'm choosing nutrition. I'll click on this. And from hierarchy, I can observe everything relevant is included within it. So if it suits to my research terminology, accordingly, I can include the exploded set of items. And that I have here as exploded set of items. If you just want to focus on the major item, then you can choose this. Otherwise, by default, I'm considering exploded. You can observe here count of articles will be reduced accordingly. If you are considering major focus only, this is the count. If you are considering explosion also, this is the count. So accordingly, it will change. And you can use any combination based on your requirements. For example, here I want to use maybe major focus only, so I can do this. No problem in that. And along with that, I have these synonyms also. So it shows me 15 different synonyms associated to my main term. Again, I can copy this. I request you all kindly please do not interfere on the screen because these lines I'm seeing on the screen and it may interfere further with my search queries. A humble request to all of you. So next to this, again, I'll add here my M-tree combinations and that I'll paste. You can observe this or set of combinations I'm getting from my initial update here. And this combination only I'll take to my search query here now, just pasting it and running my search. So this makes my second concept search. These two are from second concept. Following the same approach, we are going to combine them. I'll use or from here and I'll click on combine. So this will process my outcomes and this is what I'm getting right now. You can observe 5 and 6 right here. Technical team, can you please check why people are just putting these lines on screen right now? This is interfering. I just request you all, please do not put anything on screen. We are just about to close session, no hurry in that. Please do not populate screen with anything random. Let me just discuss few essential points. They may be useful for you. Okay, coming back to the point, I'm just getting stuck with it. I'll just share my screen again so that these things will be taken out. Okay, coming back to the point, here we have these two combinations now. Fine to go to the next level. So we have blood pressure as our third synonym, concept. I'm just copying this portion, I'm inserting it right here. I'm just clubbing it together with inverted commas and or combinations that I need. So I'm just using the same approach as previous. And as soon as this is ready, I'll run my search. Make sure you update these portions also side by side with the combinations so that later on you can remember how you have run your search. So you can update this here also, exactly same as what we have done on the search query. So this combination I have utilized, and similarly here also. If you are using asterisk signs, etc., accordingly you have to put that in your strategy also, so that you can share it in your paper also later on with your experts or reviewers also, you can share it clearly. So this I have created as second, and we have conducted query for this third approach here. And for this third, I'll also use the embase as well. So I'll write here blood pressure and I'll find the associated terms. So for instance, I'm using hypertension. So I'll click on this. And again, the hierarchy I'll find. This is a list I'm including here. And considering this, I'll also find my synonyms. The currently major focus is there. If you want to use exploded, then also you can use that. That is your choice. So moving forward, I'll just copy. Now this is just same. So I'm just taking it fast. I'll just copy this entire portion and I'll insert it here. I'll run this query. The same I'll save on my platform, on my document as well. So this combination I have inserted here. Now you can see this is my third portion. I'll combine both of these and again with the OR operator, and let us see what we get as an outcome of this. So now you can see this is combined with 8th and 9th. Now, after this, we come to the final stage on the embase, and that will be just AND operation on all these three concepts that we have used independently. And there is a very simple thing to do that. What you have to do is just combine this 4th, this 7th, and this 10th, because this contains my all three concepts. These combinations I have already created. So I'll just select these three and I'll use AND, because now we have all essential terminologies in three concepts. So I'll use AND in that case. And let me run the combine option over here and let us see how much outcomes we get. You can see 321. Immediately it reduced to a relevant set of numbers. Earlier we were having like outcomes up above 1 lakh. So this is the relevant set of outcomes I'm getting now. After this, we are free to update our remaining filters, same as what we have done on the PubMed platform. So for that, what you can do is maybe any publication year filter you want to place, that you can do. Like maybe we can just find the filters over here. One is with, yes, on the top here, we have the date filter. So I'll click on this and I'll click on publication years from 2023 to 2025, because the same I have used on the PubMed. We generally recommend using same year limit on all the databases for the same SLR. So I'm using again past 3 years, for instance. And if you want to add any other like publication types, you can consider. Maybe if there is any specific technique, specific type of articles you want to use, that you can select from here like this. Maybe if you want to include conference paper also, that is fine. Secondary articles we generally do not include in your SLRs. We generally prefer primary articles. So I'm just selecting article from here. If any language barrier is there, accordingly you can put that, like maybe English only I can insert. If anything relevant to gender, age, or animal, accordingly you can update that. But I'm just updating initial features only. So I'll just run this search. And soon after that, the updated query I'll get, and it shows 75 articles. And make sure you save this query also. That is your updated query based on the all filters that you have added. So this is my final query that I have here. And it appears something like this. So leading with this, now we can save our articles as your CSV file, same as your PubMed platform. So what I'll do is I'll just click on these results from here, and then I'll click on export from here. You can observe export option we have. So currently all 75 articles we have selected. You can go below and you can check if all of them are included on the page. You can choose from here that how many articles should be on the page, so that you can select them all together, and then export I can click, and from here I can choose what type of file I need. So for instance, if I need a CSV file, I can click on this. So with this, I can choose my records to be edited. I'll click on export from here. And within few seconds, your file will be ready to download. I can put it on my desktop platform as records obtained from Embase. You can save other files also as per your requirements. If maybe some other type of file you need, we can choose from here, like RSS format if you need. I can choose it from here, and accordingly I can export this. That compatibility you can choose based on your further softwares easily. So I can click on this and another file will be downloaded easily. So this is records from Embase. I can save RIS file I'm getting. So I'm just placing it here. This is with your Embase platform, and make sure whatever updates you do on your search queries, you are just putting them right here. You are saving everything in your document. Although you get everything on your this platform also, you can observe everything is saved here. Whatever queries you have run in together, they are saved here. So from here also, you can just copy them and you can place them on your platform for future requirements, or you can just keep a screenshot of everything so that you can refer to that in future. After running query on the Embase platform, now we'll move forward to Scopus and Web of Science, and running query on them is just like 5-minute task now, because they are very basic platform. They do not require any kind of mesh terminologies, or maybe M-tree, etc. is not permissible over there. They just require you to have a perfect combination of keywords that you have gathered from your initial searches, maybe on your databases, or maybe you are getting it from your early evaluation on PubMed and Embase. So from that itself, you can lead your analysis further. So what I'll do is I'll just update my document right here. I'll add the next portion over here that I'll call Scopus. And for this, the generalized search query will create, because Scopus and Web of Science require you to conduct generalized search queries only. So I'll just choose all my keywords from the previous collections, like from here, as well as from this last portion. Just pick all essential keywords from there and create your query. You can modify it based on the number of outcomes that you are getting. For instance, initially I'll start with maybe mobile application. Then, or I'm writing here mobile app, for example. Then, or I'm writing maybe if smartphone app or something you want to add, that is your choice. But maybe I'm creating and combination, and with that, hypertension, because we know these terminologies already. Or blood pressure, if you want to add, accordingly you can update. Similarly, one more add, and I'm adding here for nutrition. And with nutrition, maybe I want to update one more, that is diet, for example, or maybe dash diet or dash therapy. Just a random sequence I'm creating right now. So diet, therapy. Whenever I have two words in phrase, make sure I save them within inverted commas. If I have synonyms, I place them within or combination. If there are essential terms to be included, I place them with and terminology. This we have discussed in yesterday's session. Now, this is with initial set of keywords only. Now, based on what we have learned from previous sessions till now, we will just modify this slightly. So what we can do is, On PubMed, we have seen that your truncation is applicable for words at least with 4 characters in it. But on Scopus and Web of Science, you can use it even with 2-3 words also. So instead of using mobile application, what we can do is we can just add truncation on app, and it will automatically include application also. So that is a feasibility on Scopus and Web of Science. In case of PubMed, you need 3 words at least to 4 words at least to include your truncation. So there we had to include application and app separately. Currently, I can combine them both with the truncation sign. So that works fine. Then hypertension, if you have any asterisk sign possible with this, maybe truncation is possible, you can update that. Otherwise, we can use it as it is. One more thing we have learned yesterday, that all combinations are better to be secured within parentheses. So I can add that combination right here. So once this is done, I can just copy this set of keywords and I'll move to Scopus database. You can observe I'm on Scopus database right now. This is your basic search platform, and we can have advanced document search also. Any of these you can use. Currently, I'm running on the basic search only. So I'll just place these set of outcomes and I'll conduct my search. It is not necessary that with your first query only you are getting your best set of outcomes. With these Scopus and Web of Science, make sure you involve the most essential set of combinations. Then only it is going to return you best outcomes. So what we have here with these, you can see 152 documents I can find. And this is my search query right now. So although a relevant set of outcomes I'm able to see here, but if you want to improve your these terminologies further, that is your choice. Like maybe, for instance, if you want to try another combination, I'll just update this one only. And here with hypertension, maybe I want to include, maybe blood pressure also I want to include. So I'll update it with blood pressure here. And that I'll be securing within inverted commas since this is a 2-word phrase. Similarly, for diet, we have seen other keywords also, like maybe dash diet we have seen. So if you want to incorporate that also, that is your choice. Because this time, tree terminology is not included, so better you incorporate your keywords precisely, whatever you feel like this is relevant. Similarly, for mobile app, we have seen on Embase database already, if you remember, while I conducted analysis for mobile app, we have seen M Health was one most widely used terminology, and that we have seen during our initial analysis on these papers also. You can see we had this M Health as your essential parameters included. This one, you can see a large set of documents were associated to it. So let us include this also so that your search query can be updated accordingly. What I'll do is this portion I have updated. If you have more concerns also, if you want to include other things also, accordingly you can update your query. Currently, I'm just picking up this combination and I'll be inserting this into my Scopus database. So what I'll do is I'll edit this and I'll just replace this query and I'll initiate search. And you can observe the next set of outcomes that we are getting. It shows 7,487 articles, which is definitely a very big number. So when we were not utilizing these terms, maybe we were missing some articles in that case. A large number of articles we were missing in that case. But now this is a very big number also. That is also a challenge. So just be thoughtful, whatever you are including, just discuss with your peer groups, with your supervisors, that what is the best set of combinations that you should try. And based on that, you can put up your remaining filters also. For instance, if this is the outcome that is most relevant to your work, maybe if these updated set of keywords are more relevant, what we can do is we'll look forward for other filters now. Like first we'll try with the year filter. So I'll add here 2023 to 2025 because that was our preferred scenario earlier also. I'll run this search. So it will just update. Now I have 3,000 something, almost half I could get with this year filter. Further, Maybe if you need articles only from medicine domain, maybe not from the technical domain, that is completely your choice. So just a random selection, maybe if you need only from the medicine domain. So I can click on this subject area. We need to mention this clearly in our protocol also later on, wherever you are placing your search strategy in your SLR. There you have to mention this filter clearly and reason behind this also. Then maybe only articles I'm selecting because I don't need secondary studies, reviews, etc. So I'm just putting journal articles only. That is definitely your choice how you want to include them. Then language filter also you can add, like English only. I can just remove other documents. So that will be also a part of your inclusion exclusion criteria accordingly. As soon as I have updated my filters, I'll click on limit to, and soon after that your updated set of outcomes you will get. And we have here 1455 documents. So this is your final query now. Just copy this. Make sure after applying your filter you are copying your final query also, and we will place it here in Scopus as final query, and I'll just keep it saved for my further documentation. And as soon as this data is ready, now we can export it. So for that, I'll click on export. And again, whichever file is suitable for your work, you can click on that version, and then you can just download all those relevant files. All documents I can include. Just let me check how many are included in this. I'll click on all. So I'm just trying to update this filter if this works. Yes, this is working. So it says that by default, you can download only 50 results at a time. So maybe you can download multiple files also in that case, but let me check if it can include all. However, it has restriction over that. Yes, it is not allowing you to download all of them in this case. So what I can do in this case is I can probably uh, extract multiple CSV file in that case. Okay, so maybe just example I'm putting here, like exporting items from your this document. Let us see how many it could export in one go. Looks like it is importing all the documents. Let us see if it works. In the meanwhile, we can check the Web of Science also. It will download in the meanwhile. So on the Web of Science also, the same terminology now I can use. Our keyword combination is ready from Scopus itself. So I can use this combination itself because this was my final combination that I tried and this was working fine. So what I can do is the same combination I'll take to my second database. Okay, the records are ready. So let me just see if we are able to save them all. I'm just saving records from Scopus. And let me check this file, how many of collections they have incorporated. Okay, so I can observe here that I think they have incorporated all. Yes, fine. So we are on the good note. It could include everything on this single file so that we can use directly in your software later on. So now Web of Science again, this is a platform where we can conduct search on the documents platform. Now here again, I can place the same keyword that I have utilized on the Scopus platform because the same will work on Web of Science as well. It allows you to use similar and or combinations, similar asterisk signs, similar quotation marks, everything can work. All fields is by default selected. If you want to choose anything specific, that is your choice. But generally, we run it with all fields. That goes well with your search strategy. So I'll just click on search here, and it will return you a limited set of outcomes you can observe. And let us apply year filters as well as article type filters. So for this, I can scroll down and I can just choose my years, and then type of articles if you want to choose, that is also your choice. Then maybe if I want to exclude review articles, I can choose exclude from here. Similarly, if I want to include specific years, that also I have added. From here also document type I can define. So I'll just refine my outcome based on this. All the filters, you just mention them clearly in your search query also, that these are the filters that I have applied. So this looks like enough. We have applied a few set of filters already. Okay, let me check. Maybe something is wrong. Yes, year filter, it has just placed in the wrong manner. So what I'll do is I'll just choose them from here and I'll just refine my search, because earlier it added them into exclusion. I need them into inclusion. So accordingly, I could update my results. So now I can see 47 results I'm getting from Web of Science collection. And this now you can export. So I'll select all these articles. I'll just go to export option, and from here again, if you need RIS file, that you can do, or Excel is also in the options. So whatever goes well with your platform further, accordingly you can make selection of, and I'll just click on export. So soon it will be saving one more Excel file, and I'll call it records Web of Science, and I'll just save this portion. And now on all databases, we have run our query. The search strategies we have saved carefully so that we can present them later on with our review, and that could be tested by your reviewers also on the other side to ensure if you have included all the valid studies or not. The filters you have to mention very carefully while conducting your search. That is essential so that your results are reproducible. That makes sense for running a SLR. And I hope I have included all the relevant things by now, and I'll just stop sharing right here. So if we have anything to discuss further, you can let me know. I hope I could give you some relevant set of outcomes. For Scopus and Web of Science, definitely you need access based on maybe your campus repository. If it is accessible from there, you can utilize accordingly. Otherwise, with your free access, maybe it is not possible to extract data from Scopus and Web of Science every time. So maybe your universities, if they have access, they can provide you this and they can help you to gather information. Otherwise, with PubMed, you can run query freely. On Embase also, you need access terms. So that also will work with your campus access preferably. Yes, saved Excel files, if you want to see, one of them I have opened up already, and remaining all will be utilized by the experts who will be conducting tomorrow's session. So if still you want to see, I'm just sharing my screen again just for a few seconds. Apologies for those if I'm running late. I have taken some of your extra time. I'll just show you the Excel files that we have saved, and then I'll just close it. So you can observe these are the Excel files we are getting. It comes in different forms depending upon how we are, from which database we are extracting and whatever information we are trying to gather. These could be the details available in your Excel files. Same you can check with other databases also. Like here from Embase, I'm getting it in this format. This is from PubMed. So whatever format we have selected from specific data platforms, accordingly it will open. Like from Scopus and Web of Science, there may be some other details you will be finding. These details can be easily extracted by your different softwares later on. Like tomorrow, you will be using that with different experts. They will be helping you how you can deal with these kind of details to run your further queries. The extraction process will go ahead with this. Once you have these things ready on your system, then you will start with your inclusion, exclusion, and with your final strategy. So in order to copy your query from WS, simply select everything and use Control C from your system. Nothing else you have to do. You can use directly Control C on that. Thank you very much.